Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Friday Night Smackdown for July the 24th, 2020. Thank you to everybody out there watching, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. Let's go ahead and get started with the Smackdown talk as we begin the road to SummerSlam. We started off SmackDown with a vignette hyping up the Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus bar fight. Jeff cut a promo, talked about how he is going to slay his demons and beat the holy hell out of Sheamus. And then Sheamus cut a promo saying by the end of the night, Jeff would be laying on the floor courtesy of a brogue kick. And then Jeff will have nothing else to do but to drown in his own sorrows. We even had JBL, so not exactly the cameo I was hoping for, but we did get JBL via Skype or Zoom talking about the bar fight, how it's going to be a great fight. He would know, brought up his history with Ron Simmons as the APA. We then had Sasha Banks and Bayley come out to the ring. Sasha still in possession of the Raw Women's Championship, and still not one show on SmackDown that Bayley and Sasha have missed since the pandemic began. They talked about how they are the new definition of greatness. And then Nikki came out and Alexa was with her. Nikki was very angry. She said that the era of Bayley and Sasha is over. She wanted a title match against Bayley. And Bayley said Nikki could have the match if she defeats a former world champion. And that person was Alexa Bliss, Nikki's bestie. Nikki said it has to be done, and then she shoved her good friend Alexa to the ground, and that set up the first match of the evening, Alexa versus Nikki, to determine who will face Bayley next for the championship. TJS sent in a $1 super chat with a hamburger sticker. Thank you for that, TJS. We had Sasha and Bayley on commentary, and man, were they obnoxious as hell. They were even making fun of Vince at one point, doing the Vince voice. I have to say, though, this was almost like change the channel annoying. I get the point. Heels are supposed to be annoying, but man, it was just so over the top. I'm like, man, do I really want to change the channel? Although I really couldn't technically. So here's the thing. Welcome to Michigan for me, because I turn on YouTube TV that I pay soon to be $65 for a month, and I find out no SmackDown. Apparently, in Detroit, there was a preemption because of the Tigers, I believe, the baseball team, baseball game, preempting SmackDown. First time this has ever happened to me. I guess living in Portland for the last 3 years, I did not have to deal with sports interruptions. But yeah, it's pretty frustrating when I pay for YouTube TV and I cannot watch SmackDown, which is the main reason I have YouTube TV. And according to a lot of people, this is going to be an ongoing thing, so going to suck for me. I had to go find a stream to actually be able to watch SmackDown live. I'm not sure if it's 60 or 65, but I know they jacked it up. It used to be 40, 45, and they increased the price $15 to $20. Pretty frustrating. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, will Bayley and Sasha break up soon as they lose the tag titles, or will it drag on after SummerSlam? I feel like it's going to drag on now. I mean, we do have about a month away until SummerSlam, but one would think that they would lose the tag team titles before they actually break up. Anyways, we had this match, and like I said, Sasha and Bayley were being very obnoxious. Alexa and Nikki were fighting on the outside of the ring, and at one point they turned their focus onto Bayley and Sasha, knocking them down to the ground. But then after the commercial break, Sasha and Bayley were back doing the commentary, doing "Let's go Nikki, Nikki sucks" chants. Bliss went after the injured ribs of Nikki, and then Nikki went for a crossbody block, but she missed, and she was selling her ribs, and Alexa went over to her, and then, as it turns out, Nikki was playing possum, I guess. She pinned Alexa with an inside cradle, and then after the match, backstage, Alexa admitted that Nikki got one over on her, and Alexa said she's very happy for Nikki. The two of them hugged, and all was right. I was almost thinking if there was going to be some kind of turn, maybe Alexa's going to go back heel on Nikki. I mean, seemed like this could be the beginning of something like that. Ken Terminated by DQ with a $5 super chat says, $65 a month? Damn Rift, is YouTube TV worth as much as the upcoming Breath of the Wild sequel? By the way, shout out to my friends in the chat. Thank you for that, Ken. Yeah, 65. I'm not sure if it's 60 or 65, but I gotta say I'm disappointed, and it's unfortunate because really the only other alternative is Sling TV. I really liked PlayStation View, but they bit the dust, unfortunately. But yeah, I would have gone back to PlayStation View if I had the option. TJS with a $2 super chat says, why did you switch from Sling? I did it for Fox. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that was the reason why I did it, was to get Fox. So I'm pretty much at YouTube TV's mercy now. So moving on here, we had a Firefly Funhouse segment with The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. He was there as Mr. Rogers, though. Although the Lantern was there. We had a recap of that swamp fight. And Bray talked about how the family reunion at Extreme Rules warmed his soul. And then he warned that it's his turn now. He has been unleashed. I have to say that this might be a bit unpopular. Maybe some people agree, but I do not give a shit about The Fiend anymore. It started at Hell in a Cell. I gave it a pass at Hell in a Cell because at least The Fiend looks strong, although WWE pretty much screwed up Seth Rollins' character in that match by just booking that match absolutely ridiculous the way they did it. And then we had the Saudi Arabia show. Whatever the hell it was called. Super Showdown, Crown Jewel. I don't care. And Goldberg beating The Fiend. I mean, I would say it's the worst booking decision of the year. One of the worst booking decisions WWE has made in a long time. I don't think The Fiend has ever recovered from it as a character. WrestleMania was entertaining with John Cena for what it was. Yes, TGS, it was one loss, but it was a big one. It was a very big loss. And then we had that swamp fight, which I thought sucked. And The Fiend has been pretty much MIA for a while. WWE just dragging this storyline on to SummerSlam. And yeah, I'm just not feeling this match between Strowman and Wyatt. I don't care about it. And Psycho Jet Black with the $2 says The Fiend should turn face just to change it up. He might, but I'm not sure if there's anything that will salvage The Fiend for me personally. I'm sure there's some people out there that'll say, oh, give it a chance. The Fiend is cool. Last year at SummerSlam, Toronto, I was there for that. When The Fiend came out, he had this vibe like this was the new Undertaker. I don't feel that way about The Fiend anymore. I feel like it's a gimmick that has already been played out and it's lost its value. And it's really hard to take serious. So that's my take on that. Again, might be unpopular because I know some people are still on the Fiend train, and I would like to be, but I think WWE has ruined the character. Moving on here. We had Matt Riddle versus Tony Nese, who had no entrance. So you know how this goes. Squash match, and I'm sure Tony Nese will be back on NXT, and everyone's going to say, oh, look at Tony Nese. He's a great guy. He should be getting a bigger push. And whether that's the case or not, bottom line is he's a scrub. Squash match here. Matt Riddle picked up the win. And then afterwards, he called out Baron Corbin, King Corbin. Corbin came out, said Riddle does not belong in his kingdom. Riddle has this new car smell, but eventually it will fade. I think that works for The Fiend. The Fiend had the new car smell a year ago, and yeah, now smell The Fiend. So anyways, Riddle said that, or not Riddle, Corbin said that Riddle is a frat boy with no shoes who looks like he just rolled out of bed. He needs to go back to NXT for some more seasoning. And then Corbin said maybe Riddle could become a top guy on 205 Live. Then he announced he's putting out a ransom. He has a bounty on the head of Matt Riddle to prove that Riddle doesn't belong on SmackDown. Riddle responded by saying that Corbin is going to be the next guest on the Bro Show, and then kicked Tony Nese right in the face as if Nese wasn't any more of a scrub. That more or less sealed the deal once and for all. Then we had The Miz and John Morrison backstage, and Morrison was pitching some hashtags to The Miz. We then had Miz TV, special guest Naomi, and they were making jokes about Seth Rollins puking, like, is this segment 4 Seth Rollins pukes or 5 Seth Rollins pukes? Naomi was talking about, trying to be serious, talking about the fans supporting her and how they kept her going. But of course, Miz and Morrison were poking fun of her. And Naomi said that the reason people have been behind her is because she's been giving it her all over the past 10 years. Then Miz and Morrison introduced their surprise guest, Lacey Evans, who was back to being full-blown heel, the babyface American patriot with the daughter. That's gone. She's back to her heel character. She said that, yes, Naomi has been there for 10 years and doesn't have much to show for it. And Lacey said, bless her heart. Naomi then punched Lacey in the face. A fight broke out. Lacey retreated, and then Naomi started dancing around with Miz and Morrison, even though they spent like the previous 5 to 10 minutes making fun of her. She started dancing with them. Yeah. Then we had Kofi Kingston come out of the trainer's room and break the news to Big E that he is injured. Kofi Kingston said he is going to be out of action for give or take 6 weeks, but said that this could be a silver lining. Big E, due to the fact that Kofi's hurt, Xavier Woods is hurt, this is an opportunity for Big E to become a singles competitor and have some success. Kofi said for all these years, Big E has put the group ahead of himself. Big E was very humble. He was unsure. He did not want to go off on his own, but Kofi said that Big E has the blessing of himself, Kofi, as well as Xavier Woods. The two of them hugged. Looks like Big E's going to get a bit of a singles run. We had our next match, which was for the number one contendership to the Intercontinental Championship. AJ Styles was on commentary. It was Drew Gulak versus Grand Metalik versus Shorty G versus Lince Dorado. Basically for 205 Live, guys, Gulak has been a little bit at a higher level because of his association with Daniel Bryan. But yeah, this was a 205 Live special. Back in the day, we would have The Ultimate Warrior, Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect, Rick Rude competing for the Intercontinental title. And now we got these four guys. AJ had a great line here, although I wouldn't really say it was a great line because, well, let me explain. AJ said that he finds it weird that a guy can become number one contender just by winning one match. I agree with AJ. And I'm not supposed to agree with the heel. The heel is supposed to lie. When the heel makes logical sense, there's a serious problem. The reality is WWE just threw a match together with these guys. And yes, it was a good wrestling match, good cruiserweight match. But to be honest, I did not care about it. And I wasn't even caring about who won. I was like, well, Drew might win. They'll do another match with these guys. And then I thought, maybe Shorty G will win. They'll give him another push. Or maybe one of the Lucha guys will win. And sure enough, it was Grand Metalik who scored the pinfall victory with a springboard elbow to Shorty G, pinned him. There was a little bit of dissension during the match between Dorado and Metalik, but after the match, the two of them were back together. AJ got in the ring and offered a handshake, but then slapped him. Metalik slapped him back and then took him out with the DDT. The match is set for next week. AJ will retain. Maybe Big E comes in and faces AJ for the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe he'll win one match. Maybe he'll win 0 matches because he's Big E. He'll just automatically get a match. I don't know. But that's what we're looking at right now as far as the IC title division goes. We had an Otis and Mandy Rose video package, which was just to remind everybody that they still exist. They've been off TV for about the past month or so. They were not at the Performance Center for this show. It was just the video package. However, it was announced that next week, the love story continues. Not sure what that means, if they're going to be doing another vignette at a pool, or if they're going to actually be there at the Performance Center. Who knows? Sadly, I really don't care about this either. I thought the storyline was great, and then they did the WrestleMania angle. That was great. Sucked there was no crowd. Then you had Money in the Bank, and that's when the whole Otis thing started to go downhill, in my opinion. And then he just disappeared from television. And he still got that Money in the Bank briefcase, by the way. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro interviewed backstage, the new tag team champions. And Cesaro basically said that the only thing he regretted about Extreme Rules was not putting Big E through the table and seeing him go splat. Cesaro said it's not Big E's time. I don't know what this means. I don't know if this means maybe Big E's going to get another partner or Cesaro's going to face Big E, number one contender for the IC title. Who knows? And what teams can Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura face anyways? Like, you got Miz and Morrison, but they're also heels. Other than that, like, what teams do you have? Forgotten Sons have been forgotten about. Now you got the New Day with Kofi apparently being hurt. Heavy Machinery, like Otis has been gone. Tucker hasn't been around. I mean, what do you have as far as the tag team division goes? It's so bad on SmackDown. You got nothing right now. Pretty much nothing. You have like one team. Maybe two if you count Miz and Morrison. We had a recap of Jeff Hardy and Sheamus to set up their bar fight. Sheamus arrived at the bar. He got a shot. Jeff Hardy arrived. Sheamus offered Hardy a shot, but Hardy declined it, instead asked for a cup. He poured a drink and then said that his brother had to delete his WWE career. Jeff said he has to recover his WWE career. And he said he hopes Sheamus is ready for anything. Sheamus said Jeff is weak, pathetic. Nobody cares about him anymore. Sounds like how I feel about most of the characters on this show. Jeff had a question for Sheamus. Is Sheamus still the bar? Sheamus said yes, he is the bar. Jeff said no. He's the bar. He's the window. He's the ceiling. He's all that stuff. And then Jeff poured the drink into Sheamus's face. Fight began. They fought around the bar area. There was a basketball game. And Jeff grabbed some basketballs and threw them at Sheamus. They fought in the bathroom. Sheamus flushed the urinal on Jeff, and then Jeff threw Sheamus into the stall. Sheamus went back into the hallway looking for Jeff. Jeff attacked him from behind with a ladder, and then Jeff set it up, but then Sheamus threw Jeff into a drum set. We had a commercial break. We came back from the commercial break. Jeff made a comeback, hit a twist of fate, and then he attempted to climb the ladder, but then the bartender attacked Jeff. Jeff powerbombed this bartender through the table, and then Sheamus broke a bar stool over the back of Jeff. Sheamus went to get himself a drink, and while this was going on, there was a hat that had been placed over Jeff's head. Sheamus removed the hat, and Jeff had his face paint on, his eyes opened with his tinted eyes. And Jeff took out Sheamus, climbed the ladder, did a swanton, which was clearly on a crash pad, the way the camera angle was. 1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy, officially your winner of the bar fight. And that seemingly was the end of this feud, the end of SmackDown this week. Bar fight was the best thing on the show, in my opinion, although the shaky camera work just drives me crazy. And speaking of the production, it was very noticeable on this show, the crowd sweetening, extra crowd noise, anytime the heels said something dastardly, you hear the boos immediately. The cheering and booing was pretty much right on cue. To me, it felt very fake, especially when you could tell there's only like 20 trainees around ringside, and there sounds like there's a lot more with the piped in crowd noise. I'm not really a big fan of it. I think it's best to just let the PC trainees make whatever noise they're going to make. At least that's authentic. Like, AEW does it good. And WWE, at least for a little bit, they were on track to getting it down. But now they're piping in crowd sound, and I'm not really a big fan of it. TJS with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. He says, One of best on one of the best cinematic matches, not overproduced and full of action. I definitely think it was better than the Swamp Fight. Maybe better than Money in the Bank. I mean, Money in the Bank was fine. I mean, it was somewhere in the middle for me. And Mike B with the $2 super chat says, Willow or Brother Nero? I was never a fan of Willow, so I guess Brother Nero by default. Thank you for the super chat. And Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat says, the crowd is feeling it's the sweet one. And I'm not going to do the voice just because I don't want to. But thank you for that, Psycho Jet Black. I appreciate it. Oofman says Kevin Dunn will do whatever it takes to win his Emmy. Apparently so. All right, so let's do the letter grade. I'm not going to be as generous for this one. I know a lot of people on Twitter liked this show, but I had some major issues with it. I just felt like everything has no substance to it. Like the tag division is weak. The IC title division, the 4 guys as potential challengers for AJ. World champion Braun Strowman wasn't even on the show. Bar fight was fine. I'll say that much. I'm giving it a C. The bar fight brought it up. Without the bar fight, up until that point, I was like at a C- or almost a D+ for this SmackDown. CC Drink gives it a C+. Kev with a C+. Mike B with a B-. Darren with a C-. Michael Wayne with a C+. John gives it a D. Matt Helms with a C. And Ray's Fan 42 with a C+ average. Calvin Bowman with a C-. How are you doing, Calvin? And Shaddy Snake says no grade, couldn't watch. Carla just sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Carla. I appreciate it. She says, love your shirt, Aaron. Great show. Thank you. And you're goddamn right, great show. If I was not doing this as a job, like this SmackDown, probably I would have clicked off after Bayley and Sasha were going crazy on commentary. I'm serious too. Like I've enjoyed Sasha and Bayley, but they're getting overexposed. Same thing as Charlotte. Like Charlotte being on all the shows, like I'm just getting tired of it. And I feel like WWE is again stretching this out too long. SummerSlam should be Bayley versus Sasha. And I feel like it's going on too long. It's time to pull the trigger on it. I'm starting to lose interest in seeing Sasha versus Bayley. Like, it's going to get to the point where you've reached that peak and now you're slowly on your way down. You got to pull the trigger at the right time. And I think they're teetering over past the right time to do it. Ken terminated by DQ with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Ken. He says, but Real Talk Rift is getting YouTube TV worth paying $65 to watch AEW and WWE. I haven't paid nor watched cable TV in ages. Breaking Bad is the shit. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate the comment, and I agree with you. I mean, I have to watch the shows so I can recap them. But yeah, it's kind of a ripoff. I would rather pay $40 for a streaming service, so I would consider going back to Sling or trying to find another service, although there's not a lot of options out there right now as far as like getting the basic cable stations and DVR and all that stuff. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says, seriously, if it wasn't for you, I would not be watching wrestling. Thank you for your content. I'm glad to be a fan of yours for over 10 years. Very much appreciated, Psycho, Ken, and everybody else. You guys are great. And you guys keep me doing this too, because without the interaction here, like, it's funny because if I was back 5 years ago prior to the live streaming, like, I'm not sure if I could keep going if if the state of wrestling was the way it was right now, at least as far as WWE goes. Like, the live streaming, I think, has helped me stay motivated to continue doing these live recaps because I have you guys to interact with. So that definitely helps. The whole live feature and being able to have the chat room and whatnot and read the comments and get your guys' feedback in real time. It's definitely helpful. So again, thank you guys for watching. And if you do enjoy the video, please share it, tell a friend, you know the drill. It really helps. It really does. Now, before I go, I do want to bring up Impact Wrestling. I forgot to do it on last night's stream. I told you guys I was going to, and then I forgot, which either I'm just getting older, which is true, of course, but I also feel like it's a bad sign that I forgot to talk about Impact. Like, Impact should be like my priority, considering the momentum they had coming off the pay-per-view. So I checked out some of the stuff from Impact this past week, and it was good for what it was. It's so difficult to watch the empty building shows with no crowd noise whatsoever. It just feels so lifeless. That's the first problem. And I still do not like Josh Matthews as a commentator. I associate, and I feel bad for him. I mean, he's just in a bad position because he came in when the company was going down. But I associate Josh Matthews with the lowest point of Impact Wrestling. They need somebody new as far as being the voice of the brand goes. That's one thing they need to fix. Entrance music still sucks. You know, I hear these guys come out for their entrances. I feel like the novelty of these former WWE guys coming in is going to wear off. Maybe not with EC3. I like what's going on with EC3. I like what's going on with Ganderson. Well, I like to call him Ganderson. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the Good Brothers. I like what they're doing so far. I do like their music. Their music's not bad. Psycho Jet Black with a $5 super chat says, I have something nice to say about EC3. At least he's not a vanilla midget like Ricochet. Well, hey, in Impact Wrestling, EC3 is no longer a vanilla midget, that's for sure. And as far as Motor City Machine Guns go, I like the fact that they're back. I know some people were upset about them winning the tag team titles right away, but I totally get it. And I'm guessing we're going to eventually see Machine Guns versus the other Machine Gun, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, maybe at Bound for Glory. And Heath Slater, I don't get what they're doing with him. Like, the first night, I mean, he's a former WWE guy. He's the so-called hottest free agent, but then Scott D'Amore kicks him out. Rhino says it's cool, just come back Tuesday night. And then Heath shows up and he's still not allowed in the building. Like, to me, that just makes everybody look Bush League. Like, why are you not letting this guy who a lot of fans like into the building? Like, I don't understand the storyline behind it. It's just dumb in my opinion. Like, it doesn't work here. Like, nobody buys that he's not working there. Like, come on now. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I'm already fearing like Heath is going to fizzle out pretty quickly, but we'll see. Maybe once he starts wrestling, things will change. Overall, I thought it was fine, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the heat is already dying down for Impact. I'll give it some time. I'll watch some more shows. But yeah, it was just okay. And TJS with the $2 super chat says, Impact had the largest crowd in their history on Tuesday. I mean, they've had the same record-breaking crowd for the past 4 months, TJS, since the pandemic began. Anyways, that's my overall take on what's going on with Impact. I mean, AEW's doing well, NXT's doing well, but everything else right now, and Impact had a good pay-per-view, better than Extreme Rules in my opinion. Overall, wrestling's okay, but it's just, again, there's so much out there, and it's hard to really get into it under the current situation with the pandemic. But I'm trying. I'm trying to continue. I just wish, at least with Raw and SmackDown, that the writing would be better and there'd be more to look forward to. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Oh, and Kurt Hawkins is in Impact Wrestling. I forgot to mention that too. He made some kind of reference to Vince McMahon on Twitter, and I'm like, whatever. But we'll see. I'll give it a shot. Thank you guys again for tuning in. I'll be back with no DQ&A video Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Tune in for that. Thank you all. Stay safe, be positive, and I will see you guys next